So what would you share with somebody who was interested in doing work with you, interested in uncovering more about themselves and leading and living a more fulfilled and wholesome, harmonious type of life?
Well, usually it doesn't start that way. Usually someone's coming to me in a context. A lot of times it's quality of life. I'm just not as happy as I could be, or my finances are tight and I'm tired of struggling, or I'm stressing, or hey, I built this really successful business and now I don't have time to spend with my family, and how do I balance that? So it's usually there's a context of where we enter in to the relationship to create positive change for the person. And it varies for everyone. That's why sometimes it's challenging to have a specific, because again, people are so unique. So it's really beginning to say to each person, what are your challenges, and are you willing to begin to take a look inside and to find out who are you really born to be and what are you really here to do. The greater journey comes with time, and it comes as a choice. It's not required that people do that. So sometimes I'm working with people just for a short period of time and we're just working on a specific outcome. I've had people come where they're just wanting to change certain behaviors. Sometimes it's certain emotional states that they're stuck in. Sometimes it's larger issues in their life. A lot of times I've worked with business outcomes to really look at how we can operate in business economies and stay in integrity with our higher self. They're not mutually exclusive. People think sometimes there's spirit and money, but they're all part of the same system. So it's possible. Typically in businesses, you're going to have more ego engagement, and people are going to be more in power struggles. So sometimes, a lot of times, I'm working with people so they can understand the power dynamics that might come into play in relationship that can interfere in our compassionate expression. But there's also the proper use of power too, to be able to wield that appropriately when it's appropriate.
Would you say there's any topics or subjects that are unapproachable with you?
No. Everything's approachable and everything is open. I mean, if we want to talk about spirituality, if it's someone's sexuality, if it's business, if it's because it's really, it just depends on the individual. And to limit the topics would say I'm supposed to work with this particular person but not that, and then I'm being exclusive about who I could work with. I also work on sliding scales, so some people can afford more and some people can't, and I want to be able to reach as many people as possible. So
my next question was going to be, is there a specialty that you feel that you have? At first I was thinking towards a topic or an approach, a challenge that people have, but I guess it can come twofold. Is perhaps there's an answer to that, and then maybe something that you as an individual offer to all situations that you are approaching.
Yeah, I'd say a specialty is that I'm able to really empathically intuit the person I'm with in a way that they might not have been, to really see the person as they are, and to recognize them as the person they were born to be. You know, a lot of us have good parents, some of us have challenging with our parents, but there's a function when we're growing up, when we're very young, that has to do with presence and being mirrored, parents being mirrored, or the child being mirrored by the parent. When that function hasn't adequately been provided, let's say the parents were distracted or they were busy with the day-to-day matters of life and they couldn't give the child the full attention, there's a function in the child that's still waiting to be seen, still waiting to be recognized. And when you can recognize someone and flip that switch, there's an alignment, there's something that aligns for the person there. And it's something they've been waiting for a long time. Usually there's an emotional release of love and tears and joy that because they've finally gotten something and they didn't even know what it was that they wanted, but they finally got it. And then there's also a lot of systemic issues around the family and things that family systems can bring into play where we can be caught even in generational things, even in evolutionary things that don't have to do with us. Things that were going on in our family before we came along sometimes can have an effect on the people. And so I also incorporate that model in terms of what's going on for the person. So a lot of times a person can be struggling with a pattern and they've done work around it and they've seen therapists and they've been working with it for years, and the resolution doesn't come until they realize that they might be trying to solve something that was never theirs to solve to begin with, and that they can, with respect, hand it back to whose it was to begin with.
Hallelujah. A beautiful moment, I'm sure,
Yeah.
and leading to even greater expansion and just, I think as you'd say, return to essence. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times I get intuitions when I'm working with people too, and I can see what's blocking them, but I don't just offer it right away. I let them discover it. So I'm going to guide into that place, and a lot of times I'll guide their attention and their awareness into what they need to notice in themselves, and then I can kind of watch. Sometimes they'll distract and try to take the conversation in a different way, but it's gently coming back to what is the edge, what is the place that needs their attention within themselves, and holding that space for them until they can get the information that they need from that. So I stay pretty focused on the other person. I can hold that for hours.
And how would you share to someone who may be just starting to explore the desire to learn more about themselves and enrich their lives in a number of different ways, make some shifts and challenges in working with you and work in this regard? If they're just kind of brand new to the idea, what's something you might share with them?
Well, it's an amazing journey. It's a lifestyle to do this work. That once they embark on this way of living, life doesn't always get better right away. Sometimes things get a little more challenging because you're starting to notice things that have been buried under the surface for their entire life. And that's why I say it's a choice, because if someone's not willing to wake up to that, if they're not ready or willing, that's okay, but then they're probably not ready to work with me. But once someone's really ready to start to see what the factors are, the hidden factors, what they're not seeing, what they're not aware of, that's operating in their life, that can be incredibly enlightening. They can start to free themselves up from things that have held them back that they didn't even know were there. So once that process starts to take place, there's over time more ease, more grace, more joy, more room, more freedom. It doesn't mean we're without limitation, because there's still always going to be certain limitations, but it's within the limitation and knowing our limitations that we find our freedom. And it's knowing kind of, it's not that I have to be the superstar and be able to do everything, but to know, hey, I'm limited maybe in this particular area, but I'm really gifted in this particular area over here. And it doesn't matter that have these limitations, because I'm here to have it that way. Right? So once any person who's just starting out can create a state of acceptance, self-acceptance for themselves, acceptance for others, then they can start to notice things that they wouldn't allow themselves to notice. And they can begin to foster the state of self-acceptance, to create more compassion and to operate in a state of non-judgmentality without judging. It doesn't mean anything we notice is good or bad, right or wrong. It's just what is and what isn't.
Nice. Is there anything else? Anything else that feels on the tip of your tongue or coming from your heart that?
Yeah, just my heart feels really open and so much love for humanity. I really am doing this because I want our race to evolve. I want us all to be the people we're born to be. And thank you all.